On today's show, Jason Kidd is ready to deploy Point Flagg. He's going to use Cooper Flagg as a point guard. What else did we learn from the introductory press conference of Cooper Flagg? I'll tell you on today's On Mavs.
Stop it! Stop! The number one pick will go to the Dallas Mavericks. Cooper Flagg will fly in Dallas.
Dogs, all of us, all five.
You are Locked On Mavs. Great, your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Still can't leave.
Your team every day.
I'm going to get a city like that.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Dallas Mavericks for 10 years. Thanks for being an everydayer, making Locked On Mavs your first listen. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create that account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Joining me, as always, my co-host, media member covering the Mavs for 10 years, right alongside me, the press conference crooner, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
And there's something just so special seeing Cooper Flagg
Amazing.
have an official Mavs jersey. It's real. Like, this guy was one of those prospects that you've heard about for so long coming up through. I mean, I feel like we first started hearing about Cooper Flagg when he was in like middle school and then high school. And he was just like one of those prospects that follows along like, dang, how old is he now? Is he he's a junior now in high school. It's like, okay, cool. All right, man. He picked Duke, of course, and Duke. And now he's a Dallas Maverick. Like, that's just like super hard to really like wrap my brain around.
Nico was asked at the press conference, when was the first time he saw Cooper Flagg and what did he think? He was like, yeah, I saw him in person and thought, man, it'd be really nice to have that guy and to get the number one pick. And then here the Mavs are with the number one pick. It's
yeah,
real.
it'd help his vision, you know.
We got to see him. We got to see his Mavericks jersey number 32, and we got to see him do a couple drills with some Mavs Academy kids. So he was on the practice court with, he put up a shot, at least one. So got to see that. We're going to talk everything that we saw in the introductory press conference, but let's start here, Isaac Harris. Jason Kidd has been talking about Cooper Flagg, and now he's allowed to say his name, which is nice. Before it was just the kid from Duke. He kept saying kid from Duke over and over again in all the interviews that he did. He mentioned him playing the two guard before, and now he specifically mentioned today Cooper Flagg playing the point guard. I want to put him at the point. I want to make him uncomfortable. It's all right to fail. He was talking about what he wants to do with Cooper Flagg. And I saw a lot of intention in Jason Kidd's answer to that specific question about where he would play Cooper Flagg, how he would help develop Cooper Flagg. And it sounded a lot like what he did with Giannis in Giannis' rookie year. Jason Kidd was the Bucks coach back then. He deployed Giannis as the point guard. And I was talking to Chris Arnold about this before. It seems like he wants to do the exact same thing with Cooper Flagg. And honestly, like, I get it. And I think that it's probably the best thing for his career going forward. And I like it.
Yeah, I thought it was cool that he, it's not just like speculation on our side of like, oh yeah, it's probably like Giannis, what he did in his first year. Like, Jason Kidd
Came out
name
today.
dropped Giannis today in the presser of, it's like, what he did in Milwaukee with Giannis. And he even referenced how Giannis failed at it at times, and then that's like part of the growing process. And just like, hey, I want to put the ball in his hands and then see what happens. I mean, Kidd was like so excited to say like, I want him at point guard, the ball in his hands against the Lakers. I want to get it going now. Like, that's the
Lakers is the first summer league game, we should mention. That's what I think that's what he was specifically talking about. But still, he's going to play him.
Yeah, and obviously Kidd's not going to be the summer league head coach, but still, it's like they very clearly want to put the ball in his hands. And I wouldn't say here's the thing how I take something like that. I don't hear something like that and say, oh, okay, they're not going to try to get another point guard. Like, they want to view Cooper Flagg as like the long-term point guard. I don't see it as that. I think I see it as like they just want to see exactly what he has, like running type of offense like that, running like a point guard type of thing. And he's going to get his pocket picked. He's going to have a turnover here and there, running like if he is truly running like a point guard spot. Because I personally wouldn't like him in that type of role. I want him to mainly play off ball. But when you say off ball, it's like, hey, come and get the ball type of thing. Like, I don't want to see Cooper Flagg bringing the ball up the floor every single time. I don't want to see Cooper Flagg guarding other point guards and stuff. I want him to play, off ball, preferably in that 3 spot. But yeah, I think it's cool, especially for like content and especially for like fun vibes to know that, hey, Summer League's coming and they're going to put the ball in his hands a ton and say, go create, go do stuff.
When you know what I was thinking about recently is when the trade first happened, the Anthony Davis trade, and I was like, man, and Kyrie Irving's injury happened. And I was thinking about the Mavericks for this next season coming up. And I said, man, if Anthony Davis misses games, those games are going to be tough watches without AD and Kyrie. Like those are going to be, and now those games are release Cooper Flagg and do all these things, even to another degree. Like the watchability of the Mavericks is so much higher because they're going to put the ball in his hands, and he's obviously going to be playing. I think about that Giannis first season, and Giannis was not the type of prospect that Cooper Flagg is. He was the size and had the skills potentially, but he was not as ready. He was definitely way more raw than what Cooper Flagg is now, and he only played 24 minutes a game his first season with the Bucks. And the Bucks had Brandon Knight. They had like Ramon Sessions coming off the bench as a point guard. They had point guards. They had Luke Riddenauer. Like there's some others that they had point guards where they actually ran the offense. But he's saying put the ball in his hands to run stuff, to develop. And like that's the part that I'm really here for. Is not that, and this is one of the reasons why we talked about the 2 timelines thing yesterday, is that I agree with Nico Harrison that there isn't really a 2 timelines thing. It kind of sounded like his answer yesterday was, well, we do have 2 timelines, but I'm not going to view it like that. But the 2 timeline thing is only if one of them steals from the other thing, right? If you can't spend the time to develop the young players that you have, then that's not going to pan out in the future. And if the young players can't contribute right now, then it won't work in the present. Cooper Flagg, I think, can do both those things. He can contribute now, and even by them putting the ball in his hands, it shows that, hey, we're willing to work on his development. We're willing to fail a little bit. It's not going to be life or death every single game if Cooper Flagg has some mistakes and makes some bad decisions here and there. And that's honestly how Jason Kidd has coached. Like that's one of the frustrating things that I've had to come to grips with about how Jason Kidd coaches regular season teams is he's okay with like losing 3 out of 4 if the team learns from it and like moves on from it and is able to get better afterwards. Whereas we're all looking saying you've got to make big changes, you've got to, like being reactionary, thinking that the world's going to end if they lose games like that. And he's kind of okay with it because it's a growth moment for his team.
Yeah, it was, I feel like Nico, now that Nico's done 2 straight days or I guess 2 this week of pressers, and he's made it a point to emphasize like my timeline hasn't changed here. It is win now
mode today.
Yeah, win now mode. He has said that multiple times to multiple different answers of, hey, it's win now mode. That's still the same, and Cooper helps us do that. While also throwing like a little nugget in there like, but Cooper's also the future. I kind of take that as like, but Cooper will be here after me. So like, that's cool. But so like, yeah, that's the taken from the other thing that's the point of, I think the 2 timeline things, it's one of my heels. It's one of my things that I get annoyed by I just think it's way overhyped. I think it's way
having
more
2 timelines or trying to do the 2 where it's like trying to develop young players and have. I
think it's just way too much. I think there's too much emphasis put on it from like a media narrative. I think we see teams and it's like, oh, well, I got this player, I got these 2 players, so they shouldn't trade for that player because that player is like 6 years older.
Doesn't fit the timeline.
Yeah, or it's like if you do have 2 timelines, then it's literally the worst thing in the world, and you can't run your franchise that way. I don't buy a lot of that. I think that narrative and talking point is so overhyped with that. And that's why I asked the question the other day to Nico, because I wanted to see like, is this like, I mean, I probably could have asked it in a better way, and because he kind of gave a generic answer, or it could have just been me, but
he answered it though.
Yeah, he answered it, but I kind of wanted to see is like, do y'all like recognize that? Like, do front offices like, does he see something like that and is like, oh yeah, we do have 2 timelines type of thing. But anyway, back to the point guard thing real quick for Summer League. I'm a huge fan of Ryan Nembhard, and I mean, if there is ever a person you want on your Summer League team, it's Ryan Nembhard, because so many times in Summer League, like the offense is just brutal to watch because they don't have a point guard to set people up. And I get frustrated because I'm like, I see Summer League teams. I'm like, the first thing I would do is find a floor general point guard, because it's hard to judge anybody on your Summer League roster if they don't have a point guard that's like running a offense. And now you have arguably like the best one that's going to be in Summer League, because that's like his best trait is like he can run an offense, keep it moving, keep it flowing. And I love it for Cooper Flagg too, that, yeah, they're going to put the ball in his hands, but they're going to be able to run different actions and stuff with like Nembhard, like getting into paint, getting the ball to Cooper into spots and different things. So we should be able to see different areas of Cooper's game in Summer League, of both with the ball in his hands and like creating, like kid them want to see, but also I think we're going to see different things of him working off the ball and different actions like that, that like a guy like Nembhard can get the ball to him and run actions like that. So I'm really excited for Summer League, not just because like Cooper Flagg and like, hey, number one pick. I just think some of the pieces are going to work and it's going to be like enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, we're going to see a good Summer League team from the Dallas Mavericks. Coming up, let's talk about what else Cooper Flagg adds to the team, what he's working on development-wise, what else we saw from the press conference, and more. Coming up, Locked On Mavs. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Skiims. As I was prepping to do this ad like 40 seconds ago, I had to remember if I was wearing underwear or not, because I am wearing Skiims, and sometimes you can't tell because they're so comfortable. They fit exactly right. Finding the right style and fit and comfort has been kind of difficult to try and figure out exactly the right underwear, but their men's line offers something for everybody. Boxer briefs, classic briefs, all designed with the perfect balance of comfort and style. I tried them out. When they sent me a free pair, I had to buy some more for myself, and I probably need to buy some more right now. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com. Let them know that we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in that survey, and then select our show, and then it'll say that we sent you. Helps us out, and then they know that that Locked On Mavs listeners are interested in comfortable, great underwear that feels good, fits well, and all that kind of stuff. Skims Men's at skims.com.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, what we call our listeners. We appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show and listening every day. Shout out to a loyal listener that loves that our ad breaks are 1 minute long. Shout out to Rolando Blackman, who came up to me today and said, love this show, and I'm very glad that your ad breaks are only 1 minute long. That 1 minute ad break that we just did, that was for you, Ro.
That's for you, Ro. We also have another member of the Raccoon Squad.
Correct.
that we found out is part of the Raccoon Squad that introduced himself and said that he loves the energy of the show, and we are thankful, and thank you for listening to the show, Patrick Dumont.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, I met him today. Said he listens to the show, enjoys our enthusiasm, and says you guys have a lot of fun. That's correct. We have fun. That's the whole point of this. If you're not having fun talking about sports, then what are you doing? And so we added some members to the Raccoon Squad today. So
thanks for listening. Well, I mean, apparently Patrick's been a Raccoon Squad for a while, so thanks for listening.
That was the cool thing about this event today, is that it was the introductory press conference for Cooper Flagg. And that's where a kid made those comments we mentioned before. It's where Cooper made those comments, and they had it in the Mavs practice facility. It was a big event. And like, I don't think I've ever seen the amount of Mavs people there, as far as I think every single employee that works for the Mavericks was there. There was like 40, 50, 60 people there from all different venues, ticketing, the new building project. There's scouts, there was front office people, there was everybody. Obviously Dumont and his whole family were there. You had Mark Aguirre was there, Rolando Blackman was there, Josh Howard was there. So many people were there. I did not see current players for the Mavericks. That's one thing that sometimes you see in these introductory press conferences. You see current players. Didn't see any of those players necessarily, and Dirk was not in attendance, which may not surprise a diehard Mavs. But I mean, everybody. Mark Cuban did an impromptu press conference where he was answering a bunch of questions, and the energy was just at an all-time high. Everybody that I talked to from all different parts of the Mavs were like, we're back up, baby. That's what it felt like all across, because it has been a tough time for a lot of people in a bunch of different places in the Mavericks, because it was a decision that they didn't make that affected them in a lot of ways. You think about social, you think about ticketing, you think about...
Well, there was one person in there who made the decision.
Well, at least two, and Nico and Dumont, right? They both made that decision. But it seemed like everybody else was back up, super high, super excited, couldn't believe it, and it just didn't seem real until... Like Cooper Flagg started to do a dribble drill with the Mavs Academy kids, and the Mavs logo is in the background, and like he's wearing a Mavs practice shirt, and like that's when it really felt real to me. And it is kind of wild still to think about what has happened and what has transpired in the last 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, now you just have, we've said this multiple times, but it's like you have that guy for the future now, and you obviously had that guy for Luke. We had that guy in Luka for 7 years for the most part, and when that trade happens, it was like, man, like I think one of the hardest things for franchise. I know Cuban says otherwise. It's not. Cuban said a long time ago, it's not about finding that guy. It's about keeping that guy is the hardest part. But I would almost disagree with it. I think it's about finding that guy because so many franchises out there, have years. Sometimes decades of trying to find that guy. And once the Luka trade happened, you got to think for so many Mavs fans, we've had that guy and Dirk into the Luka era for so long. And then bam, there's no Luka. And it's like, well, what's the future? What's the future look like? How long is it going to be until we have that guy that's like a young guy? Obviously you have Kyrie and Anthony Davis that are incredible players, but like that guy that you're like, oh, we're going to build around this guy, this future for the next 10 years, 15 years, hopefully longer. And now it's Cooper Flagg, and we didn't have to wait too long. Thank God.
And honestly, he's one of the easiest players to build around that has come out of the draft in a long time, that has been introduced into the NBA. And you can just see the mentality that he has. He was asked about his development, what he's been working on, and what he hopes to still get better at. And he specifically mentioned he grew comfortable with the ball in his hands. And he mentioned about his first year at Duke that his Coach Shire, never gave up on him or went away from him at any point. They challenged him to, can you handle the ball? Can you be the one that run some offense for us? He ran like 300 pick and roll possessions, if that's the number that keeps going around. And he specifically mentioned that. And I did like how he doesn't back down from a challenge. We had that quote that we talked about on draft night that his mom told him, if you're the best player in the gym, go to get to a new gym. I think he was the best player in the gym tonight or today for sure. I don't know if there's anybody better than him in the gym, but I like that mentality from him, and he just never gives a bad answer or the wrong answer ever. I've listened to now, I've sat in like 4 press conferences with him over the last 3 days, and he just never gives a bad answer ever.
He said he's not into music, so
no, he said he doesn't ever have the aux. He was asked what kind of music he listens to, and he said, I don't usually have the aux. I just give it up to teammates. Team player.
Team player.
You gotta have the DJ. There's always a DJ on one team, right?
Shout out to Dorothy asking a lot of the social reels or TikTok clips that people love. The Mount Rushmore question. He got asked by Dorothy about NBA and WNBA, which bold. You never hear that question asked. And I was wondering where he was going to go with it. He didn't say Taurasi, and I probably would have led with Taurasi and Maya Moore.
It's tough to have Brittany Griner and not Diana Taurasi on the.
I will say, you've been more plugged into the WNBA world than I ever have been, but I would have personally led off with those two. I don't know what I would have said after that. As far as Lisa Leslie, maybe, I don't know.
Sure.
Is she considered an all-time?
Like a founder, like one of the, it's that's like putting Kareem on there.
Yeah. So I would have probably went more of the older route. I guess Caitlin Clark, but anyway, I just thought that I was really curious to see where he was going to go with that. And of course, he leads with Larry Bird. This has been a thing for a long time. How he grew up, he grew up in Maine, and how his family and stuff had tapes and clips or DVDs of the '80s Celtics, and that's what he used to watch in the back of the car and stuff a lot. Was those '80s Celtics teams. So he's loved Larry Bird, even though it's a whole generation difference for him. He does really love Larry Bird.
Couple of really funny moments. He was asked what he knew about. He obviously was asked about Kyrie and AD, and he was 4 and 5 years old when they got drafted. He said, and he got asked. Christian Clark asked, "What do you remember? Do you have any memories about their college career?" And he said, "No." He just specifically was like, "No, I don't." But I've seen them play, obviously. Then he was asked if he knows anything about his coach's playing career, and he said no, and made a face oh God, I just got caught. I don't know anything about his playing career at all. Haven't seen him any highlight, haven't watched him really play that at all. That was a really funny moment too. And I posted at Nick Van Exel, I posted the face that he made. It was the first time I've seen him break as far as not just have a stoic answer.
I hope it would be so funny if Kid shows up tomorrow, is just hands him a DVD. And is this is all the stuff you need to watch.
You think he would know what to do with it? You think he would have a DVD player?
He would. No,
I don't have a DVD player. Do you?
Shoot, I have an Xbox.
Is it an all digital one, or does it have a?
No, it still has I can't tell you the last time I put in a DVD, but But somebody needs to shoot him some YouTube links, all right, of Jason Kidd's
I bet he
career.
will. No, knowing him, I bet he will. Oh man, yeah. So that was such.
And throw in some like Montana State clips too.
there's another moment where he was asked about building the team building around him. The team was gonna, and McMahon kind of phrased the question. The team was building around Luka Doncic, and then plans change. And he kind of made this like a little cringe face, and he was looking at his brother in the front row. And I wonder just like how much they've talked about that whole thing, and obviously the Luka trade and moving on from him and all that. But that was a funny moment that's going around right now.
Yeah, the eyes looking over. I text you as soon as that happened about his eyes looking over, and I don't know if maybe his brother was doing something on the front row that made him look over at that time, or it was the content that made him look over. But either way, it was a funny thing. And as soon as it happened, I was like, this is gonna be a meme.
He's got a twin brother, and his whole family was there in the front row. And the way that he talks about his family and about his teammates, which is the question I wanted to ask him, is awesome. And I think it bodes really well for his career. I'll tell you why coming up. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use that code LOCKEDONNBA. You get $20 off your first purchase if you've never used it before. You can use Game Time for all kinds of things. Sadly, Caitlin Clark is not going to play in this game tonight against the Dallas Wings in the American Airlines Center. Tickets are going down right now. It's $70 right now. You can get a ticket to go to the American Airlines and see the Dallas Wings. You're still going to see Paige Beckers. That's the star we all need to be seeing because she's the best. You can use Game Time for all kinds of other stuff too. They have AEW wrestling right here on this. They have the Weekend concert. I think he's not going to be the Weekend for much longer. I think he's moving to the weekdays. Maroon 5 concert as well. All kinds of other things you can get on Game Time. Theater as well. Go to Game Time, and like I said, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create that account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Lowest prices, last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Every time I do an ad now, I'm going to think about Rolando Blackman being excited that it was only a minute. All right, Isaac,
you're good at lasting a minute.
All right, Isaac, let's get into the rest of this press conference. I wanted to ask Cooper Flagg about his teammates getting drafted, specifically Con Knipple and Kaman Malawach, because he was the most excited. I think he was more excited for Con Knipple and Malawach to get drafted than he was for himself to get drafted, because you saw the reaction of when Con got drafted, because he was sitting there doing the interview with Taylor Rooks on TV. And so you saw his reaction. He like stopped in the middle of her question, turned around, smiled, and then I was standing right next to him when he saw that Malawach had gotten drafted, and his face just lit up. Like, it's the biggest smile I'd seen him make. He got so excited. He started clapping again, and he was like, that's what I needed. That's what I needed. That's what I needed. He was like so excited about it. So I asked him about it, and he talked about what a special bond he had with those guys and what it meant for him to see those guys get drafted, how special it was. And the way he talks about his teammates, and then he also talked about his family. He was asked about, how did he get to this point? Girl from D220 asked a question about how he got to this point and what advantages he had getting to this point, because he's the second youngest number one pick since LeBron, ever. It's absolutely insane. And he talked about his family. He's like, I'm here because of my family, the support system I had around me. And it's another thing where he deflects, putting more light on the people around him that got him to this point, his teammates, talking about the special bond, talking about what his family meant and how they built him up. And I just love that about him. Yeah,
I love, I'm kind of jealous because I'm an only child and I never got to have siblings, and I always wish I did. And I love seeing close families, and I love seeing close siblings and stuff. It's something that I hope my kids stay super close and stuff as they get older. But it's always cool seeing him talk about Ace, and Ace played at Montverde too. Whenever he played there, and I'll say Coach Kevin Boyle was on. So Kevin Boyle was a longtime high school coach, still coaching, but he was the Montverde coach. The players that he coached in high school is just insane. Wow. But he was on Ryan Russillo's podcast last week and talking about this draft class in particular. So he's talking about Cooper Flagg, Derek Queen, Liam McNeely, and Asa Newell. and he's kind of just talking about all 4 of those. And it's cool to see how all 4 of those guys are super tight too. Like to see Liam McNeely and, Cooper and Derek and like hear him, I think it was, there was a clip that was going on social of like Cooper was on like one of the buses that was going over to the draft. And he was talking about how many of his guys are in this draft. And it's like, he's got the Duke guys and he's got the Montverde guys. And then, Ryan Nimhard played at Montverde too, which Boyle talked about that, but they, wasn't a particular part of that like Cooper team there. But still, it's like he's very loyal. Loyalty never fades, and it's like he loves his relationships with his teammates and stuff. And that part's just like super cool. Like you said, the clip of him seeing Con, he said him and Con were roommates and stuff at Duke. But he's like just as close with those like Montverde guys also. So it'll be cool to see, him match up with some of those guys. And all 5, I mean, Sion and Tyrese Proctor end up getting drafted too. So it's like all 5 of those Duke guys starting 5 got drafted.
There's something to be said about everywhere you go, people are successful around you, right?
Yeah.
Like building other people up and taking them with you, basically. And you just see that in all aspects of the basketball career that he's had so far. Awesome.
And I hope we get to see, I know Stein said that Cooper's going to play in those first 2 games in Summer League. That 3rd game for Dallas is against, which, the NBA, they purposely schedule, there's 4 games that's out for Dallas right now. 4 games. He goes against the Lakers and Bronny, and then he goes against the number 2 pick, the number 3 pick, and the number 4 pick. Because he gets, that fourth game is against Philly with VJ. And so I hope we get to see him in the 3rd game against Charlotte at least, to go against Con and obviously Sion. But it'd be cool to see him and Con go against each other.
Break down the Cooper Flagg versus Bronny James matchup in Summer League.
It's tough, especially if Bronny wants to lock in and lock him down. It'd be. I hope that they don't. They're going to, right? They're going to put him on like a poster of like going side by side.
100%. Bronny's going to be on everything.
That's tough, man. That's a tough spot for Bronny.
Who's a bigger star in the world? Cooper Flagg, Bronny James. Star, like famous, not like.
We've had this argument before.
Yeah, this is the Kyle Kuzma,
Kyle Kuzma
is a star.
Kyle Kuzma's a star.
He's got his own shoes. He's dating a supermodel.
I mean, at this moment, gosh, it's tough because Cooper has so many. I've been shocked over the past 24 hours to see the major endorsements that he has already.
His Instagram is only like major companies endorsing him. Like
He's
paid posts.
It's just insane. Like just the massive ones outside of, I mean, New Balance is big, but it's not like a Nike or something, but it's like, you get all of those other huge ones. And, Gatorade's not, I mean, they're pretty particular on like who they hand out stuff to. And there's just a lot of different big endorsements he already has. But I think at this point you have to say Bronny just because, hey, LeBron James' son, I don't know. That's tough. But I mean, it's not going to be very long. It's going to be 6 months into the league. I mean, Cooper's going to be one of the most popular athletes in NBA quick.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like already has a huge following. He's had this since grassroots, since
I think people are underestimating how good he's going to be too. Like immediately. I've just seen different conversations about like, oh man, like it's going to be like a year for Dallas. Cooper, he's good, but it's like it's a rookie. Like how much of a big impact is a rookie going to have? He's not a typical rookie. Like you can't say this enough. This is why I go with the 2 timeline narrative stuff. It's like, hey, you can't compare Cooper to some of these other guys. And just like a typical like rookie, you can't compare Cooper to a typical rookie. I just think he's going to be better in year 1 than what some people, I think a lot of people are like, hey, he's going to be really good, like long term. And he's going to like not raw, like a raw prospect, but it's like, he's going to be really good for a long time and be a Hall of Famer type of guy. I just think he's going to be really, really good on day 1.
Do you know the record of that Bucks team where Giannis was the point guard or like had the ball?
Oh
in his hands
gosh, I don't know.
That Kid referenced.
I don't.
Well, I guess Kid didn't coach this team. They're 15-67.
Let's go.
That first year. The second year was when Kid came in and they were 41-41. So that's a big.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I'm excited, man. Like
it's an exciting time.
There's nothing but excitement right now.
Yeah, I mean, you look at, we had the presser today on Friday, and you get to see Cooper Flagg and all this stuff. Now we kind of shift into free agency, right? Like Mavericks have some decisions to
Monday.
make. Yeah, I mean, 30th is on Monday, and then we get the 1st of July there. So we get free agency over the next coming days and week. And then once free agency is kind of like, you kind of see where all, for the most part, you see where all the big pieces are going, or some of the movement around. Then it's like, oh, cool. Now we get summer league and we get some basketball to watch. And then sadly, when summer league's over, we're like, cool. But the next, 3 weeks is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm excited.
Stick with us, Locked On Mavs. We'll have shows every single day going through this, and we'll have shows all through the regular season as well. We do post games and all that. Subscribe on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to audio podcasts. We love the audio listeners, and on YouTube and KFA every day at 4:30. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Check the text line 214-643-8637. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.